quite important to make sure everything is bled properly, all the circuit and everything. The fans engaged. The cooling system on these is spectacular, honestly. Once you build it properly, which is only from the front radiator, which is this part here, there's a screw there. As the nipple, the water comes in, the air, once the air finishes to come out, you close it, and there's a heater matrix, which this screw here. Normally there's a plastic transparent pipe, but I don't need it anyway. And you open that till the air comes out, and that's for you. Heaters, you put them on, put that on obviously hot, and you have to make sure this is nice and hot. It is nice and hot. You can turn them off, so we can rely only on the radiator to cool down. There you go. Comes on again, so on and off, on and off. The temperature is pretty much in the middle all the time, just around the middle bit there, and that's it. Okay, so how do we progress from here? Because obviously you don't have to do it, this is the way I've done it. To test it, I put this battery because I don't have the lithium battery yet with the tray, so it's the only one I have. And luckily enough, the cable still reached, the negative which is attached reached. I had to put my positive cable, this I'm using for testing, and a standard battery just on the top of the charge cooler, just to make sure everything works, you know, there's no leaks, blah blah, and all that stuff. So how do we proceed from here now? So we have to obviously remove the battery, disconnect it. On the top of the charge cooler we're gonna put the header tank. We have to put the fittings in the charge cooler. Now all of that section that usually we leave it to the customers to decide, and usually put it together. This was at the beginning because everyone had their own preferences. Someone wanted to spend the minimum money, someone wanted to spend the maximum money for the best performance, depending on power applications and all that stuff. Plus, we don't actually make any of those parts. I don't build radiators or hoses or water pumps. So I just said people decide what they want to buy and then just buy it and fit it. However, since there's been some time now, because because Steve actually found the right size for it. We found this right size, I believe, radiator for it. Obviously the hoses and everything, and a very good pump for a decent amount of money. So the whole lot, the pipes, the pump, and the radiator is around £300. All the bit sews from eBay. Decent stuff, pretty good stuff. So. And since then, everyone was like, well, no, I want exactly what you're using because it fits perfectly. Why would I change it? Hoses are here. I'm going to show you what it is. Actually, I'm going to use the same hoses for the breather system, because the breather system, as you see, is the same diameter pipes as we're using for the coolant for the charge cooler. There's one behind it, there's one here. Now what I have here, I was hoping I can recirculate this, don't like it too much, but I was hoping I could recirculate this tank, this breather tank. But if you notice, it's only one entrance, one outlet, one in, one out. But it has two ins, because obviously there's one from the behind, one from the top, and these engines, they have a very good breather system on the engine itself, because the one on the block is huge, the one on the head, on the cylinder head cover, is big too. So that's quite important. Then they've done it, and then we're gonna divide it in half of that. I don't like it. This is smaller than one of those, you know, the outlet. So you're restricting quite a lot, especially with the engine that we're gonna push. Well, no, we casting, we're gonna push all the stuff. It's just not healthy. What I just get a normal 90mm pipe, and I coil it all around there, nicely tucked around or down. The one from the block there on this side here, and get it behind the wheel there. So all I'm doing basically is just leave it atmospheric, but any fumes out the engine bay, because just in case something happens and you're speeding oil through the breathers, you don't want them on hot exhaust or the hot turbo, because that may result into an unpleasant heat from behind. And if you're thinking I'm talking shit, we've seen this obviously in the circuit, on the race cars. and we've seen it sometimes. So actually, once we had to put the fire out the Mitsubishi Evo because that exactly thing happened. I think it was a piston broke or something, and a lot of oil came out from the breather because that's what happens after. And it actually overfilled the breather tank. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it went on the exhaust and it catch fire. Then if you want to do what I do, good. If not, be my guest, do what suits you. You know, if you want a nice and fancy header tank, just make sure you use a big one. I do use sometimes the VR6 ones. I use the big ones, and I put them there. So kind of away. It's like, well, how are you gonna empty them? Yeah, it's a good point, but you don't have to empty them very often, do you? So I don't know. It's a compromise, but again, you do you. I do I. I do me. I like them atmospheric. Whatever. Right. Sweet. So self-explanatory stuff. I'm not gonna show you how to do it because it's gonna get way too long. So basically, this is your breather from the top. This is the way I do it. Go around it just before they throw the body. This is good enough to make this bend without kinking in. 2 zip ties on the fuel rail, 2 zip ties, 1 zip tie to the other line, and it goes pretty much back there, away from the exhaust, behind the chassis legs, pretty much on the corner of the car, so all the vapors goes out from there. The bottom one goes from between the alternator and the plenum, and it goes straight there, makes a nice corner around the dipstick, and it goes into the breather. Now the beauty of both of these lines is that you actually don't even have to use the Jubilee clips. The fitment on the bottom is kind of this way, so it grips the pipe, it goes easy in, but it goes quite hard out, and not having any pressure out. They stay there forever. Fittings on for the charge cooler. To put the charge cooler fittings on, what I like to do is to remove the sensor from its place there. And the beauty is, if you keep this closed and remove that sensor, you're gonna see the water there in that place. Obviously nobody's hot, at least unpressurize it before, and then you can do it when it's hot, and you can remove it and no water is coming out because the system is actually sitting is building below this and being sealed. Nothing comes out. I know it's strange, but it is what it is. And you can see the coolant there. Well, if you don't see the coolant inside there, something is wrong. You haven't bred it properly, but now you're gonna see it because the engine. So this is the beauty. The engine on this side of the car. So sorry, this side of the car, so is the back where the engine is. It bleeds itself out from any air. So from any air in the system, it's just the front that you have to bleed. On the back here, nothing to worry about it, unless something is very wrong. And okay, so remove that one, remove this side of the boost pipe again. Of course you can do it before, blah blah, the sequence of where you're doing this stuff, is your choice. I have no problem to remove that clip after and this clip after because it takes 10 seconds, so no problems. Anyways, back to us. Before putting these on, you screw it in. They're quite hard because the thread changes between NPT and BSB, same thread. But what I found is actually pretty good because it sews very nicely, like half across there. You can screw it in, but you don't have to, and it's nice and tight. Partially the reason for that it was like you couldn't find the right thread, the right fittings, 90 degree with a 19mm outlets here for these. So we tested these. Well, we had found them in America, blah blah, a lot of different places, but it was very awkward to find them, very difficult, not too many in supply chain, and very expensive. Then we tested these, and I was like, holy shit, these actually work as good, if not slightly better. So we put these on. Anyways, remove that, remove this, and you screw it in. And again, they're quite hard, so you need space to to screw them in. That's why I removed this and that. Once you've done that, I want you to point this one here facing just above this. All right, you see, because obviously you got the rubber hose and it's gonna go here, and this one just past the boost pipe, so facing down but kind of towards the back of the car. And later I'm gonna show you why. Now this one we can put it back together. There you go. This is your boost pipe. Yes, I use fuel line Jubilee clips on this because I say, well, you say don't use the Jubilee clips. Well, these are different. They don't break hoses, they don't kink in. Alright, I want to show you this charge cooler pipes routing when I put them in. Now this takes a little bit of fiddling, but it's definitely nice. There is definitely a way to put them decent and nice. There is a space for it, but again, put some patience on it and do it nice. So if you follow this one here, you can see, you can actually from under the car, you can put that fitting in there, alright? And now it goes here around the gearbox, so this stays away from the moving parts, which is the gearbox. It doesn't matter what engine mounts you're gonna use, the engine will still vibrate and move tiny bit. With this replaced, tiny, but still vibrations. Long run, it may rub against something and, you know, puncture the hole sooner or later. So let's avoid it for the next 10-15 years. So now one there is the one on the bottom. If you see on the arm fitting here, on the arm bracket, there is a hole there. I haven't done it, this is original. And there is another one there. You put the zip tie around there, around both of the pipes, and keep them to the chassis. Now I use another mount here, which is for the handbrake cable, to zip tie this one close to it, nice and tight. It goes under this pipe, which is one of your cooling, the coolant pipes, original. It goes on the top. The other one goes on the bottom. Actually, they go along together. You can see how they go. This is the one that goes to the header tank. You know, this one goes on the bottom. Now one goes on the top of this pipe because there's no space for both of them to run out of here. So you see, this way everything is nice and routed beautifully. And then this one eventually goes on the top of this pipe because now we have a space for both of them to run alongside there. A bit fitted to put them past this. Now if you break this one, do not worry about it. You probably can't see it, but just above there in the chassis, in this part, there is a small hole. If this is broken, take it off from the chassis because you're gonna end up with another hole. And the beauty is those two holes, this one and the one above there, is a perfect spot to put a big zip tie to go around and clamp this in place, which is actually gonna be stronger than this one here. Now another pipe, well, another support is this bolt here. This is a support that keeps this pipe on. So put it on, you know, it keeps everything nice and tight because then obviously zip ties are all around it. There's no movement in between. Anyways, going along, those two pipes, hoses, go alongside there, they exit from this side and go alongside the tunnel. Now there's a plastic support between this pipe and another coolant pipe. Once you add all of this is a bit not enough. So what I do, I put a big zip tie around both of the big coolant pipes because they are supported on the chassis itself inside the tunnel, and tied everything together. Just not too much, don't squeeze them. And then go all along here. Now you can put the zip ties again alongside here, you know, so it could be nicely tucked under there, no problems. Plenty of space there between this plate and that, and then go all here. Now once you get here, there is a plate here which is part of the chassis. You can put the zip ties there, but be careful, this is your anti-roll bar. Now you have to be away from that because this one rotates, move a little bit. You don't want anything rubbing on that because it will eventually rub holes through these hoses. So then I put them here on the chassis, so you see, naturally they leave the space there. Now from now on there, I'm not going to show you anything because as the rest of those, I'm still waiting. Well, I need to check in the workshop, maybe the pump power has already arrived, because these have to go, one of these has to go through the water pump and the other through the radiator, which I have to collect. So that's the end for it at the moment. So this is where those pipes come from up, you know, from the side of the chassis, on the side of the gearbox, behind the gearbox, and they go up here. Now this is why this one's supposed to look down, because it goes down. And this is your header tank, which is not fixed yet. You know, you see this pipe here, a very shallow corner, nothing. I can put this with the finger, there's no tension in anything. Now, you see, how would you fix that? Well, there was a lot of debate. It's like, you know what, I'm not gonna weld this up in place, blah blah blah. How are you gonna put it? There's no mounting places or anything to use on the charge cooler itself to get this down, to bolt it on. If you want to you know, weld the brackets to the chassis. That's going to be quite expensive because you have to remove the paint, you have to weld it up. This is really thick alloy, pain ass. And then it came to me. One of the guy I know who works with all his life in panels repairs, body repairs, he say use adhesive glues. It's like, mate, they hold stronger than the proper ones, stronger than welds. So I did, and long and behold, I welded 2 of them, and it's like, oh shit, they're not coming out. It's like literally welded on, and yeah, they work. So adhesive, windows, windscreen adhesive, windscreen glues, nice and thick, rubbery. You put it there underneath, and what I like to do is to do something, this is just to make an example, something like this. Obviously if this is in place, put it there and put a zip tie, because you can use that lever there. This makes it a nice lever, something longer than this, and from here I zip tie it to roughly somewhere here. Just put this down, yeah, on the top there. Doesn't need much pressure. Leave it curing for about 24 hours, overnight really, that's enough, and job done, and never come off. So easy, so simple. So yeah, I like finding easy solutions. Well, in this case I didn't find the solution, his friend of mine did, but still a solution. See how to do pump. Now the way you do it, the way that I do it is just the zip ties. What's that? Just the zip ties, the pump on it, and the 2.5 inch silicone pipe, silicone hose. Put it over the pump so it doesn't obviously get clamped against the metal, plastic to metal, just insulation. And that's it. The pipes underneath, so this one here goes from the header tank, because when you fill it up you fill directly the pump. Goes in the front of the pump, and then outlet of the pump goes to the radiator. Now this one here, I mean this is nice and flat, we can use it. That there, again, zip ties everywhere, make everything secure, goes towards there, and I have it exited from between the chassis and the plastic covers inside the inner wheel wall, and they both go here. This is from the pump, so that hot water goes around, back here gets cooled down, cold, and comes back to, do I have it? It doesn't really matter, and it goes down there. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Now the way this is mounted, those 2 dabs, which is original from the radiator, straight to hose, M6 bolts, M8 bolts, nuts. There's plenty of space behind it. With the nuts, this is single layer, and it holds everything slightly offset to this side, so you've got plenty of space for the pipes to go around this, which is slightly sharp if you just leave it like this. Obviously I bend it out a little, so even if the pipes touching this, nothing's gonna get damaged. And that's it. These are provided with usually provided with the radiator anyway, so that's good. Jeez, almost forgot. The plug for the pump, which they supply with short wires, usually they're too short, I mean they're slightly longer. So the way I attach it to the power steering pump. There's 2 wires, these are high amps, and I decided to plug into these because the little amperage we're gonna draw are gonna make a little difference to this. So the negative is this one here, white and black, and the positive is white and green. These 2 there. This is how I do it, and then put back the insulation. Have to finish to insulate this. Put the original insulation on it, tape over the top, tape over the top, and then the plug just goes. Well, it's back in there. Plug it in. This way, the pump comes on the moment the ignition is on, and then goes off when the ignition is off. So it's always working. When we're running the car, when we're using the car, very reliable. What I do, I remove, fill everything I mentioned. Now water goes in, no anymore, it's completely full. Remove this hose, quite a lot of air goes from here, and then fill it up again. You can see it from there, and that's it pretty much. You do it once. After that, everything is sound. Easy. Well, see you tomorrow. Now at this point, when the car is running, we have all the fluids. You can check everything proper, and there's quite a lot of stuff we have changed in the car. Basically, I'm not saying we built a car, but we assembled a totally different car. Not only is faster and better, but remember, we've changed the fuel system, cooling system. We added a turbo to an engine that shouldn't be here, was never designed to be in this car. We added turbo system, we added a charge cooler, boost pipes, we added a cooling to the charge cooler itself, a lot of piping, a lot of wiring, a lot of other different bits. And every single of these systems is quite complex, even though I've designed it fairly easy and intuitive to assemble, but there was quite a lot of development to do it. You know, so make sure everything is done properly and don't rush it, because again, this is a fast car, especially now with this one here. And again, once you can check everything, do it twice, do it 3 times. It's way better to do it at this stage than later when you have a problem somewhere on the road or something like this. Have a bigger fuel pump, because obviously this is in tank. If you want the part number, this is the one, hope you can see it. This is in tank pump. This is, the fitment is almost identical to the standard pump. Slightly longer, fitment on top here is slightly different. The plug is different, so you won't be able to connect it. You have to do your own plug, but they provide the plug, so you have to slice the wire, connect them, and blah blah, all that stuff. And because this is so first of all, is an old fuel pump in this car. If the car has 15 years, the pump probably has 15 years. Now it's supposed to buy 4 injector, which is way bigger. System works differently. You have to, I mean, this is gonna be what, 350, 380 brakes, maybe 400. I don't know what the cam spec is, but let's presume between 350 and 400. Let's give it a fresh pump, and at that point upgraded one. So that is a good upgrade, because it almost, I'll show you later on, it almost drops into the standard sender. It's a good option. So we have to remove the original gas pedal. I remove already the cable completely from the car, because yeah, why not? And then we have to put the adapter plate and the pedal back in. Now I'm gonna show you how to modify this. Now these ones is basically, so the pedal is too high, so you see this bend here, we have to remove this bend. So what I do, I collect a little triangle here, and I make sure this is literally straight, and that is the correct thing to do on this pedal. And then the position of the gas pedal will be exactly as you want it. But also we have to remove these plastics, this one. Yeah, again, it's easy, it's just time consuming, you know, to do it proper. The basic engine conversion, you've seen it, put the engine in, it takes you honestly 15 minutes, but that's the engine in. And this is what people don't understand. Someone says, well, you've shown you can swap this engine in 15 minutes. Yeah, swap the engine in 15 minutes. But then to get the engine working in the car, like any other car, any other engine, you need a fuel system, you need a cooling system, you need electrical systems. Electrical system, you can just make it run, or make it run integrated with the car, which is in this case completely different systems. They have to communicate between each other. Then you need a turbo system, the exhaust, the intake, the boost pipes, cooler for the charge cooler, and so on and on and on. And everything has to be done properly, so you can live with the car and not have any issues. Like this is now working, everything works like a factory, so the car comes from the factory, just better. Right, so Steve's gonna hold the camera at the moment. I thought this, that already pre-made, was for the rear, but it's not, it's for the front, so this is useless on the back, different diameter. What you can get is these inserts. We test them before, and they Powerflex. They're alright.
They're okay.
They're not nowhere near as good as one of these, but
compared to
Still better,
standard.
because this is the problem, you see, they're literally hollow, because the up and down, which is the movement of the engine you have to avoid, is held by this, and it's hollow, there's nothing there. So what they do, they fill the space.
It's the question is, how much is enough? Which is why like solid is even better, but this should be like bare minimum. I mean, for example, these mounts, they're shared with Series 2 Lotus Elise and Exige, uses these exact same front and rear mounts, and they're considered far too soft. You know, even for factory engine cars, they class them as too soft, and obviously they're not making anywhere near the torque that 1.8Ts do. You know, it really is important to use these, because otherwise there's just too much movement on the engine, and you're gonna break things in the end with too much engine bay movement. So
This is the bare minimum.
yeah, bare minimum one of these, if not a solid one. And you don't, thing is as well, you do not notice at all any extra harshness in, like, 'cause people worry about you know, more solid engine mounts being harsher, but because you're not touching the side ones, which are the main ones that support the engine in its position, this just seems to prevent movement. It doesn't add any sort of harshness to anything. So just do it. You'll regret leaving it standard, because I ripped them if I think this is a good point actually. What happens, it will happen if you drive it hard with standard ones, while you might not rip the front or rear mount, it can damage the side mounts because there's so much movement.
Too much movement.
Yeah. Whereas with this fitted, you won't, basically, because if anyone remembers, it would be like proper sort of OG viewers to the stuff we do. Back in the day, Thomas made me a solid side mount because it got damaged, and it was only later we realised it was nothing to do with the weakness of the side mounts. It was purely too much movement front and rear. Yeah. This really does make a difference. And obviously these Powerflex ones, it's Black Series, they do normal ones, but just get the Black Series. They're not much money, so you'll be crazy not to.
Let's see how this fits. He was saying I should really show how they fit. How they fit perfectly. There's no pulling, no pushing. Everything comes back in place as it should. Anti-seize grease everywhere, as you do. There we go.
Straight in.
Actually, the longer ball, this is the shorter one. Somewhere later on. But that's basically how it fits. And now we removed some of the movement on the engine. That's
and that
it.
is important on these, very.
Almost shame we're leaving the standard subframe here, is it?
Yeah, I know,
Now
it's
these,
such a nice setup.
Yeah, but these are already seized.
Are they? Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
So last year was like, well, I'm now removing this without the new ones.
no.
And the problem is this, when they seize, what they do, they don't seize here, they seize inside the arm, inside
Yeah.
the bush. So even if you cut them, which you don't have the access to cut them, and once you cut them, you have to replace the subframe, but even if you do, then you need new set of arms.
Yeah.
That's the only weak spot of these cars. So, fresh set of arms, subframe, and anti-roller. That's crucial, I think. That's it. Right. Yep. Alright, so, sorry for that. CV joints and the drive shafts. At this point we have to put the drive shafts in because we have the clutch, we have the gearbox, we have the gears, but we need to put the motion that, you know, power down to the ground, and this is through the drive shaft. Now drive shafts are made to the very high spec. This is motorsport spec, this is not some cheap stuff. These are quite expensive because they're very good. Now we provide each, obviously one, I'm showing you only one that is already assembled, and we're going to assemble the other one together. These arrive in this state, so just the drive shafts, and you get yourself the CV joints and assemble them. So I'm going to show you how to. There is one thing to say: we use these ones, JNR, both sides, in and out. So far we found out that some other companies that make replacements of these CV joints don't fit. I'm going to show you exactly what doesn't fit. I mean, you can still make them fit, but you have to use your angle grinder and have to shave them off a little. To my surprise, but this is what we find out. Don't know why, which one isn't up to the spec or whatever, doesn't matter. These ones fits, and these are the part numbers. Alright, should be okay. Alright, I will try to show you everything. So this is obviously assembled, and we go through everything. I will try to be as clear as possible. If you know this stuff and it's a couple of little tricks, then it really is simple and easy. So you got your brand new drive shaft, remove the shielding. So that's your shaft. You have your CV joints. Now the CV joints we're using is obviously genuine standard Volkswagen ones, and standard Toyota ones. Now the other ones we don't use MR2 ones, we use RAV4. Not all RAV4 CV joints fit, so you have to change this part number because they're not all the same. This is physically the biggest CV joint that actually fit in MR2 hub. So you can't get any bigger than this, and the internal spline is much bigger too. This spline is the same because you can't change it. It is the MR2 hub, but this changes. So inside the boxes we usually have, you get the same CV joints, which we recommend too. You got the CV joint itself, you got the rubber boot, then you have, let me open it up, the clamp for the rubber boot. We're gonna put them together. You got the smaller one, because big and small. You have the new nut. This is to tie your hub. Put the CV joint to the hub. You can put it there, and you have it C-clip. One of these. Don't lose it. It's very important. Now, the moment you open this, what I like to do, oh, hold on, I'm going to show you what else you need. Tools you need. One of these, 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 of course one, not two of them. So, pliers, these ones to put the CV joint clips on, and the small mallet, doesn't have to be anything big. If you only have a hammer, that's fine, just be more careful. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, once you have this C-clip, don't forget about it. What I like to do, let's put this on the side for the moment, alright? So on one side you have a Toyota CE. What you do with this one, this is what, you know what, you do you. Someone who does them every day probably does it better than me, quicker than me. This is the way I do it. I like to get them a little bit tighter. Literally, that's all you need to do. 3 parts there, maybe slightly more, there you go. You see, getting this slightly bit tighter, smaller diameter. A little bit more. Just close that C-clip a little bit more than it is original. Now, alright, and leave it on the side. Let's open the Volkswagen one. Same stuff, but they are different. So you have your rubber boot, you put on the left side, you have your outer cover, you have your inner cover, which is retainer or the holder for the CV boot. you have your CV, which is open. You see the big difference between this and the Toyota ones. Toyota ones is just one piece, but again, this is inner, this is outer, so they are different. And then you have a different C-clip, and obviously clips for the boots. Again, smaller one, the big one, and the C-clip in this case, this one here. Hence we have a pair of these pliers. They are reversed ones, so put on the side. And again, grease as with the other one. How do we prepare this? Let me see, we just see if this is the right angle. Yeah, I think it's okay. Should be alright. I think that's better, is it? Should be better. Okay, I'm trying my best here. Okay, so first what we're gonna do, I'm gonna say, is answer the phone. Spam. Jesus, I really don't have a time for the phone calls, spammers. Alright, this. The smaller part, you put your C-clip on. You have the larger part and the smaller part. You can see this is quite visible. The smaller part is your Toyota side. The C-clip goes in, and you have to get it tighter so this does not protrude over these splines. If it does, it's going to be quite difficult to put the CV on. That's why I like it to be a little bit tighter. Now at this point, don't put anything on yet. That's anything. Put your rubber boots on now. Reason for that is because the Volkswagen side, which is larger splines, is quite tight here. It is easier if you put it from this side because it's smaller diameter, right? Just leave it there. Alright. And obviously Toyota one on this side, the opposite way. Job done, 5 seconds, otherwise this is 10 minutes stretching the boot up. So again, small trick. Okay, now you got your Toyota CV. Let's make sure this is the correct one. It will fit. Again, everything fits correctly. If something doesn't fit correctly, don't smash it, don't hammer it, because it means you're doing something wrong or something is wrong. Don't force anything. When you open this, I like to open it just on the angle, not too much, because then I like to put that angle, kind of show it this way, put it inside there, not all around it, inside there, so you don't even have to get dirty. Put it there, squeeze the content out of it, all inside. There you go. Is it quiet, but you have to put it on the balls? No, you don't. First of all, centrifugal force, when this turns, will expand the grease to go on the outer part, which is the most outer part is where the balls are, so that's where the grease is needed. Don't worry, because I'm going to show you something in a sec. So once we get C-clip on the shaft, once you got it in, literally all we have to do is to make sure this aligns nicely with the shaft, with the splines. You can feel it, make sure it's there. Get your mallet on the soft side. Done. Now look at this, you see, nice and dry. That's what it takes, and the grease is already on the balls. You see it? There you go, it's ready explained. So don't worry, just put the grease inside there. Don't even get dirty from the grease. And now that's on, make sure it's on. It is on. You rubber boot. Clips, I put them at this point, but for the purpose of illustration I'm going to put them later at the end. So we got one side done. It is that easy. All the way down. Now you have your boot holder, retainer, goes in. Actually this one you can put on the boot already. It will keep everything away from you. CV joint that you're gonna be working on. The Volkswagen ones, they're nice and tight and under Toyota ones, I've noticed, for some reason, which is more than fine. There you go, all the way in. That's so tight that even if you don't put these clips on, actually there's no grease coming out, but we should put them on. Right, so now it's time for to put the CV joint on. Now the CV joint has this groove inside there, you see, and it doesn't have the groove there, so I'm not actually sure, quite symmetrical, but I put the without the groove on the outside. So the one with the groove on the inside, because you will give it a bit more space for the splines to slide on. So I think that is the correct way to do it. Now I push it in a little. Again, just the angle. Around it. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Put it in. Again, it slides very easily. The only thing is the last bit, the last part. You see, you have to knock a tiny bit until you see that groove there. You see that groove there? That groove is a retainer for the C-clip. Sometimes this is quite fiddly when it shouldn't be, sometimes, just because this ply is a bit old now. Nah. Doesn't fit there too. Make sure it's in. Yeah, it's in. Nice. Once this is in, make sure there's no grease like this on the surface here, but all inside. You can put almost the rest of it here. Okay for now. Now, let's make sure you align these holes with these holes nicely, otherwise your bolts won't go in. Okay? It's not difficult. So it in, nice and flat. What are you doing? You good? Don't go. Crack the screen there. Don't worry, you don't have to put it all the way in just yet, because when you're gonna bolt it to the actually half shafts, the bolts are gonna squeeze everything in, so this doesn't have to be all the way in perfect, just as close as you can comfortably without hammering the shit out of this. This is in, you can check it for the next time, it's fine. So rest of the grease, again you don't have to be very precise with it, just put it in. The end cap, same stuff, right? Be careful to align the holes. It's actually very important. And what I like to do is use my table and put something underneath here. I don't want to smash this. I want to see the joints and everything. So when I'm hammering here, this is my base. Almost done. That's simple. I'm gonna put you here so you can see better. What else now here? Again, don't worry about smashing this together completely. Although it is now, but even if it is, don't worry. Later day when you're gonna put the bolts in, you're gonna do it. Now we have to understand which shaft is which. It's quite important. Not quite important, but it's, you know, better do it now. So the short one is your passenger side in UK. Your left side, the long one is your right side. The guy goes forward, so these rotate that way. When you put these in, you put them in the same direction, means that if I put them this way and this is sticking out, you see if they rotate this way and something's gonna catch on, I don't know, urine from the field, whatever it could be, plastic bag or something like this, it may catch it, you know, like that, and keep it. If this is the rotation, if you put it against the rotation, nothing is gonna catch on it. Small things, but you know, they do make a difference. So the way you put this in, this obviously rotates that way, so I put it in the reverse. And again, someone who does the CV joints every day probably call me stupid because they have a better techniques and quicker techniques to do it, but hey, done is done. So this is why these came from, because what I like to do is to grab it from a couple of holes, squeeze it in, that's enough, it clips, and then you have these specifically for these clamps, push it in. Once it's done, the edge I like to just make it nice and flush, and this is how it looks like. Pretty much it. The rest of them exactly the same. The bigger one is just easier, but I'm gonna show you on this one. On this one here, you have to be careful on one thing, and this is actually very important. Don't ask me how we find out, because we had to replace a few of them on our cars. I'm gonna show you something. I purposely do it the wrong way. No, a bit more. There you go. Let's say I'm gonna put this here, right? No problems. Great. Well, it's not. Actually, let me grab one. I'll show you. So usually we supply these because you have to buy them separately and they're quite expensive, but we have a lot of stock of them, so we put them in. Yeah, this goes in, yeah? No problem, see, we just clear. Well, what happens if this is in the front of the bolt? Yeah? Oh shit! And the head of the bolt will not clear, and then there's no way to rotate this. Even now it's a bit painless to remove it. So you have to make sure this is in between the holes, in between, is not in the head, in the way of the bolt. It's very important. Very easy to forget about this, because at this stage you're thinking about a lot of stuff, but not the bolt that will have to go in. So rotate a little bit. Nice inside the groove, some tension against the way I do. See, just grab a couple of holes. There You see, it's in between. I know that's not gonna give me any issues later. Sticks out a tiny bit, so we're gonna just tiny bit. There you go. And now bolts go through, no problems. That's all there is. Yeah. Should we put them in? Usually we don't have to remove the wheels, but in this case we do because they are Mazda ones. Once you remove the wheels, remove the center nut, this one here, blah blah. One out. Such a difficult job. Second one out. I was a little bit more gentle with this. Now, if you wanted a difference between those and these, as a diameter and CV joints, wonder no more. This is how much bigger they are. This is the only part that is left the same. Diameter of the shaft itself is about 50% bigger, and the CV joints, as you can see, is widely bigger. So there you go. Remove this one off, obviously, and you know what, I'm gonna do it under there because it's gonna save some time. Otherwise you're gonna have to put something under the chassis, lift it up, blah blah blah. We can do it this way, can we? Let's show you the way I put them in. Let me see where I've gone to the camera so you can see enough. This is proper Hollywood stuff now. Can you? Yeah, you can. So what I do, I go this part first in the car, up there. Right. Once it's in, CV joint in the hub because you can bend enough. Slide it in. Then CV joint on this side, bend it. There we go. It's in. The other side is pretty much exactly the same. This one here, it doesn't always go as easy as this one. So this one drops in, and this one here sometimes needs a little bit of persuasion. Do not hammer it. Use a pry bar a little, because I shift it from the top and just move it against, pry bar, prime it in against the engine mount, because all it takes is a little bit of a slack on the engine mount, because again, remember when I said about the tolerances when the engine sits in the chassis, it only needs that couple of millimeters. Prime it a little bit in and it just slides in. That's all it takes. And now from now on, put the bolts, 6 bolts each. I don't have to show you how to put the bolts in because that's going to be ridiculous. So yeah, they in. Well, once bolted. Alright, I'm gonna go home because I had a massive headache today. I don't know why. Plus it's late, everyone is gone. Yeah, the closer to the finish we get, the longer it seems to be taken, because you know, you have high expectations to be finished because it runs and everything, and there's still quite a lot of work to be done. Not hugely, but still. Keep your patience up, finish off every single thing nice and steady, nice and easy. Pay attention to everything and you'll be fine. Alright, I'll see you in a sec. Well, tomorrow, but for you it's gonna be a sec.